The next morning, I went back to the Jiangcheng Profession Center. This time, I didn't go to the dungeon area. I walked straight to the Job Advancement Hall at the back. I stepped up to the counter. The staff member smiled and asked what I needed. I told him I was there to receive my first job advancement quest. He looked surprised because of how young I was. He explained the rules. He said you only get 3 attempts. If you fail all 3, you can never advance again. Each failure makes the next quest harder. He told me the first one is especially important because it affects your future growth a lot. Many people prepare for years, buying gear, learning skills, and getting ready mentally before they try. I just said, accept. He told me to place my hand on the big crystal. I walked over and pressed my palm against it. The crystal started shaking hard and gave off a bright golden light. A small crystal stone formed and dropped into my hand. Then the quest popped up in front of me. It was called Wealth Accumulation. I had to earn 10 million dragon coins in 24 hours. I couldn't use any of my existing money or assets. I couldn't take gifts or help from anyone, and every coin had to come from value I created myself. If I earned over 50 million, I could get S-rank evaluation, over 100 million for SS rank, and over 500 million for SSS rank. I asked the staff member what the different evaluations actually changed. He said a normal evaluation gives 5 times the growth after advancing. S-rank gives 6 times, SS rank 8 times, and SSS rank 10 times. He advised me not to take big risks just for a high evaluation. Most people only get normal. S rank is already very rare, and in Jiangcheng only the 3 pillars had ever gotten SS rank on their first try. He had never heard of anyone getting SSS rank. I put the crystal stone away and told him I understood. Up above the city, the man in black and the middle-aged man in gray robe were watching. They pulled up my quest details on a screen in the clouds. After reading it, the man in gray froze for a moment and said, "Outrageous." The man in black stayed quiet, too. They had seen many difficult job change quests before, but they both thought mine was still way over the top. The middle-aged man in gray robe said, 10 million in 24 hours for the basic quest is doable. With how fast you can clear dungeons, farming materials, and equipment should get you there without much trouble. The real problem is the evaluation tiers. 50 million for S rank, 100 million for SS rank, 500 million for SSS rank. His mouth twitched as he spoke. He asked if the job change crystal had gone crazy, making an 18-year-old generate 500 million in one day without using existing assets or getting any help. The man in black answered calmly that the crystal doesn't make mistakes. The man in gray said he knew that, but the difficulty was still too high. Even if the two of them worked together at the same level, they probably couldn't reach the SSS evaluation, and even SS would be tough. The man in black thought about it and said the stronger the profession's potential, the harder the quest the crystal gives. The man in gray looked at the screen again and said the crystal must believe my potential is high enough to need a quest like this. He added that if I only finish the basic quest and get a normal evaluation, I can still advance, but for someone with my potential, it might limit my future growth a lot. A low first evaluation is like damaging your foundation. I had already left the profession center and was walking on the street. I didn't start right away. I needed to think first. 10 million for the basic goal wouldn't be hard, but I wanted SSS, which meant 500 million in 24 hours under all those restrictions. Farming dungeons was the obvious way. With my strength, I could clear level 100 Hellgrade dungeons easily. The boss drops are valuable, but even if I farmed non-stop for 24 hours, selling everything would probably only get me a bit over 100 million. That was still far from 500. I thought about checking the quest area in the profession center. Sometimes chambers of commerce post high-price acquisition quests for specific materials, and the payout can be much higher than normal selling. But even in the best case, I figured I could reach maybe 200 million at most. Still 300 short. Bringing other people to farm with me wouldn't work. My speed comes from my own movement, and they couldn't keep up. Plus the restrictions say no help or gifts, so the crystal probably wouldn't count it. I felt a headache. It wasn't that I couldn't fight the monsters. It was that one person wasn't fast enough. Then I thought, what if I could farm multiple dungeons at the same time? I have 10 money ghosts. They can move and fight independently. That means 11 units total. Me plus the 10 ghosts. Each one could enter a different dungeon. I stopped walking for a second. The idea was crazy, but possible. Normal summoners can't send their summons into dungeons alone, but mine might be able to. I decided I should try it. I went back to the dungeon area in the profession center. Administrator Liu Cheng was at his desk. When he saw me, he straightened up and asked what dungeon I needed today. I asked him a question instead. I have 10 summoned creatures. Can they enter dungeons alone? He looked stunned and asked me to repeat it. Then he said that normally summons go in with the professional. He had never heard of anyone sending them in by themselves. He didn't know if it was possible, but we could try. I told him to open a level 90 Hellgrade dungeon first. We went to the entrance of the Black Wind Mine Cave. I summoned one money ghost, gave it a big bag for loot, and ordered it to enter, clear all monsters, and collect everything. Administrator Liu Cheng opened the portal. The money ghost walked straight in and disappeared. The panel showed the dungeon was running with the entering unit as my summoned creature. A message appeared saying no professional had entered, so I wouldn't get experience. I told him it didn't matter. I didn't need experience right now. Then I summoned the other 9 money ghosts. I had Liu Cheng open a separate level 90 Hellgrade dungeon for each of them. One by one, each money ghost with a bag entered its own dungeon. All 10 portals lit up at the same time. After that, I had him open one more dungeon for me. I stepped inside. Administrator Liu Cheng stayed at the console, staring at the 11 active dungeons. He looked completely stunned. After a while, he took out his communicator and called Captain Ji Shuning. When Captain Ji answered, Administrator Liu Cheng told him I had entered the secret realm again. Captain Ji said that was normal these days. Liu Cheng replied that this time it was different. Captain Ji asked, "How is it different?" I went into my dungeon, the Crimson Blood Demon Nest on Hell difficulty. The place was full of blood mist and weird walls. But I didn't focus on that. I closed my eyes and checked my connection with the 10 money ghosts. It was weak, but I could sense they were all moving forward fast through their own dungeons. I couldn't give them new orders, but they were strong enough to clear everything on their own. A bunch of Crimson Blood Demon spiders came at me. I sighed a bit because I had to kill them myself this time. I stomped the ground and charged straight in. I punched, kicked, and smashed them with raw power. For tougher ones and mini-bosses, I used Money Talks to blast through them with the Golden Torrent. I kept moving forward the whole time, killing and picking up the drops. It took a little over an hour. At the end, I hit the final boss, the Crimson Blood Mother Empress, with Money Talks and blew a hole through its chest. The nest collapsed. I picked up the Crimson Blood Mother Empress core that dropped, turned around, and stepped into the teleportation array. I came out of the dungeon. The 10 money ghosts were already waiting outside, each with a big bag full of materials and equipment. I opened the bags and took everything. The ghosts had taken some damage, so I dismissed them and summoned 10 new ones at full strength. I told Administrator Liu Cheng to continue. From then on, I just kept repeating the same thing. Go in, clear the dungeon, come out, collect the drops from the ghosts, dismiss them, summon fresh ones, and go again. Round after round. After 20 hours, I was really tired. My mind felt heavy. Administrator Liu Cheng suggested I take a break, but I said no, and kept going. At 8 in the morning the next day, with 1 hour left until the deadline, I stopped entering dungeons. I took all the materials and went to the task hall. I walked up to a window and told the staff I wanted to submit tasks. I asked them to show all material acquisition tasks for level 90 to 100. Then I started checking them one by one against what I had. I checked over 3,000 tasks. After I finished, I gave them my card number and told them to transfer the money there. I waved my hand and dumped all the materials on the floor next to the hall. It formed a big pile. The whole hall went quiet. I walked into the profession center and submitted all the tasks. Suddenly everyone there stopped what they were doing. All the staff and professionals froze and stared at the huge pile of materials I dropped off. They looked completely blank. Someone asked, What is this? Who moved the dungeon warehouse here? I looked at the stunned staff and said, "Please call a few more people. Finish verifying this within half an hour, then transfer the money to my account." The guy snapped out of it, his voice shaking, and said yes. He hit the emergency button right away. Soon over a dozen more staff rushed in, and they all stood there shocked, too. I didn't stick around. I had already submitted the tasks, so I left to go sell the rest of the materials. Only after I walked out did the whole hall explode with noise behind me. They were shouting stuff like, "Holy crap, a mountain of materials, and over 3,000 tasks?" and asking who I was. I got in a car and headed to the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce. I figured I should keep the benefits inside the family. I sat in the back, closed my eyes for a bit. I was pretty tired after grinding dungeons nonstop for almost 24 hours, but I still had things to do. When we arrived, I walked into the big material acquisition store they own. A young clerk came up to greet me, but then he recognized me and froze. He called me young master and asked why I was there. I said, "Selling materials, a rather large quantity." He looked surprised, but told me to go to the storage area in the back. Once we got there, I waved my hand and dropped all the materials out. Crystal cores, beast horns, ores, equipment, boss cores, herbs, everything. The storage area filled up fast, about a third of it. The clerks just stood there staring with their eyes wide. One of them asked, "Young master, are all of these for sale?" I said yes. They quickly called the store manager and all the appraisers. Everyone got to work checking the pile. 10 minutes later, the manager came over, sweating, and told me the total at market price was 350 million dragon coins. I asked if they could settle it in one lump sum. He said yes, because these were high-level materials they needed urgently, and since I was selling to our own chamber, they'd give it priority. A few minutes later, 350 million hit my account. Right after that, the Profession Center finished verifying my tasks too, and sent another 227 million. Together it was over 570 million. That was more than enough for the SSS rating, and all of it came from materials I earned myself in the dungeons. No using family assets, no gifts, no help from anyone. It followed the rules completely. I felt the tension I'd been carrying for 24 hours finally ease up a little. I told them, "Let's go," and left the store. The manager and clerks just stood there watching me walk away. Later, one of them asked if they should report it. The manager said of course. $350 million in one go wasn't a small thing. They passed the news up to the chamber's upper management. At that point, I didn't know it yet, but back at headquarters, a whole group of executives, including department head Chen Guangmao, director Lin Man, and several level 200 job changers, had gathered in the top floor conference hall. They were waiting, ready in case I showed up. Their plan was that if I came today, they would take full control of the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce. I went to the Job Advancement Hall at the Jiangcheng Profession Center. At headquarters, department head Chen Guangmao was sitting at the head of the conference table with some other executives. He checked the time and said Lu Fang should be arriving soon. An elder hoped I wouldn't back out. Director Lin Man said even if I tried, it was too late because the agreement was already signed. If I didn't show up today, they could declare me in breach of contract and the management committee would take over the chamber. Chen Guangmao laughed a bit and said young people always pay the price for being arrogant. Then an assistant came in and whispered to Chen Guangmao that I had gone to one of their material shops and sold a batch for $350 million. Some people looked surprised at the amount. Director Lin Man asked where I got so many materials. An elder figured it was probably leftover inventory from my parents. They thought I was selling it last minute to buy items for the duel. Chen Guangmao said $350 million was a lot, but it wouldn't help me win, and even if I bought things, I wouldn't have time to get used to them. Everyone agreed external items were just external items. Meanwhile, I arrived at the Job Advancement Hall. It was busier than in the morning. The same staff member from yesterday saw me and stood up quickly. He asked if I was there to submit my job advancement quest. I said yes. I walked up to the big crystal and placed the quest crystal into it. The golden light inside was very dense. As soon as I put it in, the whole crystal started vibrating and a strong golden light burst out. It was much brighter than normal. The entire hall lit up like it was inside a sun. Beams shot through the roof into the sky, and the building shook a little. Everyone in the hall was shocked. People were asking what was happening and if this was an SSS evaluation. The staff member said even SS rank wouldn't shine like this and realized it really was SSS. The hall went quiet for a moment, then everyone started talking. They couldn't believe someone got SSS on a first-turn job advancement in Jiangcheng. I didn't pay attention to them. I looked at the screen. It said the quest was completed with SSS evaluation. I advanced from Tycoon to 1-star Tycoon. The level cap was removed and I got a 10 times growth multiplier. I felt satisfied. All the work paid off. Then new skills appeared. One was road buying money. It lets me spend gold coins to open a path into any dungeon, secret realm, or closed area, no matter how locked down. The note said with money, even ghosts and gods make way. This meant I could now get into the Abyss Rift where my parents disappeared without waiting for high level or permissions. The second skill was life buying money. Spend gold coins to heal injuries, restore stamina, mental energy, or life status for myself or others. The more serious the problem, the more it costs. This filled the recovery weakness I had. Before, after long grinding, I could only rest. Now I had a direct way to recover, and it could help others too. After seeing the skills, I felt sharper. The tiredness from before was gone. Everyone in the hall was still staring and talking about the SSS first turn. I ignored the looks and left. While that was going on, some people above the clouds saw the golden pillar of light from the Job Advancement Hall. A middle-aged man in gray robes laughed hard and said I had actually succeeded. The man in black smiled too. They knew how hard the task was. 24 hours, 500 million dragon coins, all earned by myself with no family assets or help. They said I was even more impressive than they expected. The news of the SSS First Advancement spread fast from the Profession Center. People inside the hall were shouting about it. The golden light shooting into the sky. A young guy around 18 or 19 getting SSS on his first job advancement. It went out to all the teams, chambers of commerce, families, and forums in Jiangcheng. Within 10 minutes, the upper echelon of the city all knew. Everyone understood what it meant. If I didn't die, I had the potential to become someone on the level of the 3 pillars, or higher. A lot of people started asking who I was. Back at the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce headquarters in the top floor conference hall, department head Chen Guangmao and the others got the news too. At first they were talking about how to handle me when I arrived. When they heard about the SSS rating, the whole hall went quiet. Chen Guangmao stood up and asked if it was confirmed. The assistant said yes, and that many people saw it with their own eyes. Director Lin Man asked who it was. The assistant said they didn't know yet, only that it was a young professional. People in the hall got excited. Someone said if they could recruit a person like that into the chamber, it would solve their current problems and secure the next few decades. Chen Guangmao's eyes lit up, and he ordered them to investigate immediately, no matter the cost. He said they should offer resources, status, and shares to bind that person to the chamber. Everyone agreed it would give them a strong card when dealing with other forces. They got more and more excited and almost forgot about waiting for me. Chen Guangmao told them to handle it after today's matter was settled first. At the city lord's mansion, Han Qianshan and Captain Ji Shuneng were about to leave for the chamber when they heard the news. Captain Ji Shuneng told Han Qianshan that an SSS first advancement had just happened. Han Qianshan paused, then laughed and guessed it was me. They both laughed. Han Qianshan said I always managed to surprise people. They decided to head to the chamber anyway to see the executives' faces once they learned the truth. Captain Ji Shuneng joked that they were probably still trying to find and recruit that SSS genius. Soon after, their car arrived at the headquarters. The staff at the entrance got nervous when they saw the city lord and Captain Ji Shuneng. The news reached the conference hall quickly, and Chen Guangmao, Director Lin Man, and the others came down to welcome them personally. Chen Guangmao greeted them respectfully and asked why they had come. Han Qianshan told him not to be nervous. Chen Guangmao and Director Lin Man wondered if they had come to support me in the challenge today. Director Lin Man asked directly if they were there for the young master's matter. I arrived at the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce headquarters. Han Qianshan told department head Chen Guangmao that yes, he was there for my matter, but he wasn't going to interfere. He said since we already had an agreement, they should just follow it. He was only there to watch. Captain Ji Shuneng added that they wouldn't favor either side as long as no laws were broken and no one died. Chen Guangmao and the others relaxed when they heard that. Chen Guangmao welcomed them and led them inside. Captain Ji Shuneng whispered that it seemed they still didn't know it was me. Han Qianshan said those who should know would know soon enough. A lot of important people from Jiangcheng showed up at the spectator hall that day. Steward Zhang and Jiang Xia came, both looking worried. Wang Yiqing was there too, sitting in a corner. He had been having similar troubles with his family since his father went missing. He wanted to see if I could hold on to what my parents left behind. People in the hall were talking. Some said I probably wouldn't come, or that even if I did, it was useless because the chamber had 4 level 200 professionals. Others said I was too impulsive and should have used legal channels instead. Some felt it was understandable after what happened to my parents. Chen Guangmao smiled when he heard them. Director Lin Man checked the time and said I would be there soon. Chen Guangmao told everyone to get ready. As soon as I arrived, they should release their auras according to the agreement. One of the level 200 professionals asked if it was necessary. Chen Guangmao said even a lion uses full strength on a rabbit. Then I walked into the spectator hall. I was alone, wearing a simple black combat suit. The hall got quiet as I entered. I looked around at everyone, then at Chen Guangmao and the executives, and asked if everyone was here. Chen Guangmao smiled and said yes, everyone who should be there was, and that after today the future of the chamber would be decided. Right after he spoke, the high-level professionals on both sides opened their eyes and released their auras all at once. Dozens of strong pressures came toward me, especially from the level 200 ones. The air felt heavy and the floor shook a little. Some spectators turned pale and stepped back. A few people muttered that it was shameless to pressure me with auras before the duel even started. Jiang Xia got upset and said they were using underhanded tactics. Steward Zhang held him back. I stood there and looked at them. I took a step forward into the hall. The pressure from all those high-level professionals hit me, but it didn't slow me down. I kept walking at a steady pace until I reached the front. I stopped and looked at Chen Guangmao and the others. I asked if that was their way of welcoming me. Chen Guangmao smiled and said I had misunderstood. They just wanted to see if I was qualified to accept the challenge today. I asked if they saw clearly now. An elder next to him snorted and told me not to get cocky. He said being able to withstand the aura didn't mean I could win, and that everyone here was stronger than I thought. I asked, and so? Chen Guangmao raised his hand to stop the elder and stood up. He reminded me of the agreement. If I won, the whole chamber would obey my orders. If I lost, I would no longer interfere with its operations. I said that was correct. Director Lin Man said that to avoid damaging relations, they wouldn't send a level 200 professional first. They would send Zhou Yue, the deputy captain of the security department, who was level 150. If I couldn't get past him, there would be no need to continue. Zhou Yue stood up. He was a burly middle-aged man in heavy armor with a big war saber on his back. He walked to the center of the arena and looked at me with some condescension. He said he wouldn't take my life, only make sure I couldn't act. He drew his saber and said it was good for young people to have arrogance, but when it went too far, it was courting death. He said he would teach me a lesson on behalf of the president and his wife. I told him he was not worthy of mentioning my parents. Zhou Yue's expression darkened. He said it seemed I wouldn't give up until I saw the coffin. Then his aura erupted and he charged at me with his saber raised. I raised my hand and summoned Money Ghost. A dark golden figure appeared in front of me. Zhou Yue didn't stop. He slashed down hard. Money Ghost caught the saber with one hand, then punched him in the chest with the other. The armor caved in, bones cracked, and Zhou Yue flew backward into the barrier. He hit the ground, spat out blood, and his saber flew out of his hand. He lay there with his chest collapsed and his aura gone. The punch had almost killed him. The whole hall went silent. People were shocked that a level 150 was defeated in one move by my summoned creature, and that I hadn't even moved myself. Some realized I had held back on purpose, so he didn't die. Chen Guangmao's smile froze. Director Lin Man's eyes narrowed. The level 200 professionals looked at me seriously for the first time. I stood behind Money Ghost and looked at Chen Guangmao and the others. Next, Department Head Chen Guangmao's smile disappeared completely. Director Lin Man stared at Money Ghost with clear shock. Security Head Zhao Qiming's breathing paused. They realized they didn't actually understand my strength at all. Everything they had assumed was wrong. I looked at them and asked if no one else was coming. I reminded them that they had said I wasn't qualified to control the chamber. I asked if now no one was even willing to step forward. Chen Guangmao's face darkened. He knew they couldn't back down in front of everyone. He took a breath and said that since my strength was beyond what they expected, they would start the formal matches. Director Lin Man nodded. The other two level 200 professionals stood up too. There were now 4 of them: Chen Guangmao, Director Lin Man, Wu Zhao, level 207 Array Rune Master, and Shen Qinghan, level 211 Blade Shadow Controller. People in the hall started talking loudly. They said it was shameless for 4 level 200s to attack me together, but others pointed out that it showed how strong I was, since one summoned creature had already forced this. Chen Guangmao said continuing one by one would waste time. Director Lin Man added that since the agreement was for me to challenge everyone who opposed me, all 4 of them fighting at once didn't break the rules. She said it wasn't too late for me to admit defeat. I looked at the 4 of them and said they were just afraid. I pointed out that a moment ago they acted like they had already won, and now 4 of them had to come out together. Wu Zhao said verbal provocation was useless. Shen Qinghan said my summoned creature was strong, but thinking one could beat 4 level 200s was naive. I told them who said I only had 1. I raised my hand and summoned more. One after another, dark golden figures appeared until there were 10 money ghosts standing in a row in front of me. The whole hall erupted. Everyone was shocked that I could summon 10 of them. Chen Guangmao gritted his teeth and shouted to attack. The 4 of them moved at the same time. Chen Guangmao covered himself in metallic armor. Director Lin Man cast buffs on them. Shen Qinghan sent out 6 flying blades. Wu Zhao started setting up formation runes. The 10 money ghosts charged forward like silent warriors. When they collided, the protective barrier shook hard. Chen Guangmao blocked 2, but was pushed back. Shen Qinghan's blades cut them, but couldn't stop them. Director Lin Man tried slowing and weakening them, but their attributes were too high. Wu Zhao's formation got crushed before it could finish. In the end, the 4 level 200 professionals were being suppressed and beaten back by the 10 money ghosts. I just stood in the same spot the whole time. Han Qianshan smiled. Captain Ji Xuneng said quietly that this was the person chosen by Tianlong and mentioned the SSS rating. I stood there while the fight continued. Chen Guangmao and the other 3 got more and more alarmed as they fought the money ghosts. They tried to focus fire on one. Director Lin Man put weakening marks on it. Shen Qinghan sliced at its joints with her blades, and Chen Guangmao punched its head. They finally destroyed one money ghost. Right after it disappeared, I raised my hand and summoned a new one in its place, fully recovered. Then I used life-buying money on the other 9. Golden light fell on them and healed all their wounds in a few seconds. It only cost a few thousand gold coins, which was cheaper than resummoning. The 4 of them looked like their minds were about to collapse. Chen Guangmao called for Wu Zhao. They told him to set up a formation while the others held the money ghosts back. Director Lin Man used big control skills, and Shen Qinghan restrained them with her blades. Wu Zhao retreated and created a large formation called Spirit Trapping Contract Severing Formation. Silver chains bound the 10 money ghosts, and a gray light curtain cut off part of my connection to them. Their movements slowed down a lot. The 4 finally got some breathing room. They were all injured and tired. Wu Zhao told me the formation had trapped my summoned creatures and severed the connection, so I had no chance of winning. Chen Guangmao and Director Lin Man told me to concede. They said I had already proven myself and that we could talk properly, but today's duel should end here. I looked at the trapped money ghosts and told Wu Zhao it was not a bad formation. Then I said who told him the formation had actually trapped them. I raised my hand and used road buying money. It cost 1 million gold coins. A golden road pattern appeared and pierced straight through the formation, connecting to the money ghosts. The formation cracked and then completely collapsed. Wu Zhao spat blood and staggered back. The 10 money ghosts were freed and charged forward again. The 4 level 200s were now being pushed back even harder. Chen Guangmao was retreating under attack from 3 of them. Shen Qinghan could barely protect herself. Director Lin Man switched to full defense. Wu Zhao was suffering from the backlash and couldn't set up another strong formation. Shen Qinghan said they couldn't continue like this and suggested attacking me directly. If they controlled me, the summoned creatures would stop. The others looked at me. I was still standing in the same spot with no money ghosts guarding me. Chen Guangmao suddenly spoke up. No! Chen Guangmao told the others not to attack me directly. He said I had been too calm from the very beginning, when the money ghosts were fighting, when the formation sealed them, and even now, I hadn't changed. He thought it didn't look like a weakness. It looked like a trap. The 4 of them felt a chill and grew heavier in their hearts. They didn't dare gamble. Chen Guangmao got knocked back by a punch from one money ghost and spat blood. He raised his hand and shouted, "Stop!" I raised my hand slightly and the 10 money ghosts stopped at once and stood still. Chen Guangmao looked at me, breathing hard. His face looked terrible, but he lowered his head and said they conceded. Director Lin Man, Wu Zhao, and Shen Qinghan also conceded. They knew continuing was pointless. Even if they won by attacking me directly, they would lose all face after what everyone had seen. The whole spectator hall went quiet for a second, then exploded. People were shouting that 4 level 200s had conceded, that I had won alone, and that I was only 18. Jiang Xia jumped up yelling that I won. Steward Zhang straightened his back. Wang Yiqing stared at me with red eyes. Han Qianshan smiled and said, "Good lad." Captain Jishu Neng said the landscape of Jiangcheng was going to change. I said not very loudly. From now on, I have the final say in the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce. All the executives stayed silent. With 4 level 200s conceding, they had no more excuses. Then someone in the stand suddenly stood up holding a communicator and said loudly that the SSS rank first advancement professional from the Profession Center was me. The hall went quiet again, then erupted even louder. People were saying I had awakened less than a week ago, reached level 100, got SSS on first advancement, and then forced 4 level 200s to surrender. They called it absurd and said I was a monster Jiangcheng had never seen before. The way many important people looked at me changed completely. Wang Yiqing stood there in a daze and muttered that the SSS person was also me. He laughed bitterly. Chen Guangmao and the others looked like they had been struck by lightning. Director Lin Man's face went pale. Not long ago they had been in the conference hall saying they must find that SSS genius at any cost, recruit him, give him shares and resources, and bind him to the chamber. Now they realized that person was me, the heir they had tried to push out and had just fought against. I stood there and looked at them. Department head Chen Guangmao's face went pale. He lowered his head and said in a hoarse voice that they were wrong. After he spoke, the other high-level executives lowered their heads one by one and admitted they were wrong. They said they were blinded by greed and were willing to accept any punishment. I told them that from today on, all decision-making power in the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce would return to my hands. All the shares they held would also be voided and returned to me. They accepted it bitterly. I continued. I said the original affairs of each department would continue to operate as usual. They would keep their positions and remain responsible for what they were in charge of. The chamber could not fall into chaos. Potion workshop, equipment trading, material acquisition, security system, everything would stay the same. They were all stunned. They had expected me to remove them completely. I looked at them and said everyone here was a veteran of the chamber. For today's matter, I would only give them one chance. In the future, whoever harbored thoughts they shouldn't would not get off as easily as just admitting defeat and losing shares. The 10 money ghosts stood silently behind me as I spoke. Chen Guangmao swallowed hard, bowed his head, and said he was willing to die for me from now on. Director Lin Man, security head Zhao Qiming, Wu Zhao, Shen Qinghan, and all the other executives also expressed that their departments would obey my orders. This time they were truly convinced. Steward Zhang stood in the crowd with tears in his eyes. He said I had truly grown up and handled it like my father, only steadier. Jiang Xia was excited and said he knew I was capable. The big shots in the spectator stands had complicated expressions. They said I had good temperament and that my future was limitless. Above the clouds, the middle-aged man in gray robes said I had courage, strategy, emotion, and righteousness. He asked the man in black what else he was picking about. The man in black said there was no need to pick anymore. He said I had passed the assessment. Han Qianshan and Captain Jishu Neng were about to come forward to congratulate me when they both received messages. Their expressions changed. They said there was a clue about the mole and left quickly. As Han Qianshan passed me, he patted my shoulder and said, "Well done." The other guests came up one by one to congratulate me. They said the chamber was stable now, that I was young and promising, and that we should cooperate in the future. Their attitudes were much warmer than before. After they left, I knew that from today on, my name would carry different weight in Jiangcheng's upper circles. Soon the outsiders all left. Only the internal people of the chamber remained. I sat down in the main seat, the position that used to belong to my parents. No one dared to question it anymore. I looked at Uncle Zhang. Uncle Zhang, from now on, you'll coordinate the daily management of the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce. He was surprised, but I said he had worked with my parents for many years, and I trusted him. He would watch over the department heads while they kept handling their own operations. He agreed. Chen Guangmao and the others said they would cooperate fully. I told everyone that strength was the real foundation. If I didn't have power, I wouldn't be sitting here. That's why I wouldn't spend all my time on chamber business. I needed to keep raising my strength. The chamber would provide resources, channels, and intelligence. Uncle Zhang would manage daily affairs, and they would do their jobs. They all answered firmly with no questions. Then everything in the hall suddenly froze. Uncle Zhang stayed bowed. Everyone else stopped moving. I summoned 10 money ghosts. A calm voice said, "No need to be nervous. We just stopped them temporarily. Some things aren't for too many years." I turned. 2 men had appeared. Fu Yun in gray robes and Instructor Lu Chen in black, both from Heavenly Dragon. They explained that Heavenly Dragon was the Dragon Kingdom's top special force, gathering the best geniuses in the country.